almost there.
You gotta eat big to get big.
You gotta eat big to get big.
Gotta eat big if you want to get big.
You gotta eat big to get big.
What if I told you you've been bulking wrong the entire time, and unless you change the way you're doing it, you'll stay small and fat forever?
I get it. You want to get bigger. You're frustrated being small, and you're going to try and bulk to put on some muscle. You know you got to eat, but what and how much?
Yeah, can I do 5 double-doubles?
I'll tell you one thing, it's definitely not like this.
But it's also definitely not like this.
But thankfully, I've done the research, read the studies, so let's find out what science says is the best way to put on muscle while not putting on too much fat. Let's get into it.
So I think the biggest and most valid question is how much do we eat? This recent study took a look at trained lifters, put them into 3 different groups, each eating different amounts of calories, tracked them over 8 weeks, all doing the same lifting program, and then looked at their changes in muscle size, strength, and fat gain. And here's what they found. So group A, they had eat at maintenance calories, which is just eating the amount of calories you need to stay exactly the same. And with this group, that's exactly what happened. They didn't gain any fat, they didn't gain any muscle, and they also didn't gain any strength. Group B ate at a 5% surplus, so they took their maintenance calories and ate 5% more than that. And what they found was this group actually gained muscle size in their biceps and strength on their bench press without gaining that much fat. And group C, they had eating at 15% above their maintenance calories. They realized that with this group, they put on way more fat, didn't get any extra muscle, and their strength actually went down. So how did group C actually lose strength? I mean, they're eating more calories. You would think that you're eating more, you would recover faster, put on more size, you would gain strength, and that's not what happened. So when you're shoveling food, a number of things are gonna happen. First off is you're gonna gain more body mass, which is inevitable. And as we found in the study, it's gonna be mostly body fat. If you're rapidly gaining body weight, this can lead to joint stress and inflammation. Not to mention driving up systemic inflammation that can come from eating a lot of high glycemic simple carbohydrates. This massive amount of eating could have your blood sugar level swinging wildly throughout the day, leading to you being lethargic or tired during your workouts. And lastly, just eating a ton of food, especially if it's at night, could lead to having shittier sleep, which we know will impact your central nervous system and thus have repercussions in your training sessions. All these things could have easily led the 15% group not being able to train optimally, therefore not seeing any increases in strength. So there you go. No need to overcomplicate it any further. Just eat 5% more than your maintenance calories, ensure your training's on point, and you're gonna put on muscle and minimize fat.
How do you find your maintenance?
Find your maintenance calories?
Yeah.
Great question. I got you. But first, chicken. So there's a few different ways of figuring this out, but I would suggest most people head on over to Legion Athletics and use their awesome calculator that I've used over the years with myself and my clients to help find their maintenance calories with pretty close accuracy right off the bat. All you're gonna do is enter in your information here, and if you don't have a clue to what your actual body fat levels are, use the Mifflin-St. Jeor formula. Then, the calculator will let you know what your total daily energy expenditure is, which is how many calories you're burning at rest plus all the other activities you're doing, like lifting weights. This is about how many calories you need to maintain your weight and stay exactly the same. But you want to gain muscle, so as discussed in the study earlier, you want to eat 5% more than your TDEE. So you're going to take that number, multiply it by 1.05, and there's your magical bulking number. Maybe. Check out this magical number. It's getting hot out here. Let's make some chicken. Oh, back inside. You see, even with the best formulas out there, there's not one that can give you a number that's perfect for you. What they are going to give you is a number that's a good starting point for you to try out and see how your body responds.
So how do you do that?
Good question. Every morning when you wake up bright and early, you make your way on over to the bathroom. Use the toilet, and when you're done with that, go ahead and step on the scale. Whatever that says, you log it in your notebook or in an app on your phone. I choose to use the notebook, so at the end of the 7 days, I'm going to take all of those numbers, add them together. Whatever that is, I'm going to divide by 7. The result that I get, I am going to subtract from the first weight of the week. That will tell me the difference in how much I've gained per week. So in this instance, it was up by 0.4 pounds, so to me that's sufficient. Go ahead and log it and call it a day. Now, obviously your next question is going to be how much weight should you be gaining per week? So beginners or novice lifters should be gaining 0.5 to 1% of total body weight per week. So for a 150 pound person, that's 0.75 to 1.5 pounds per week. For an intermediate lifter, that's 0.25 to 0.5% of a total body weight per week. So for a 150 pound person, that's 0.4 to 0.75 pounds per week. For advanced lifters, they should be gaining 0.125 to 0.25% of total body weight per week. So for a 150 pound person, that's 0.2 to 0.4 pounds per week.
And there you go, the biggest hurdle out of the way. Knowing how much to eat. But the bigger question is
What foods do I eat?
before I answer this question, I want to take a look at another study where they gave elite athletes, like those ones behind me, detailed nutrition and meal plans to see if it would help them gain muscle at a faster pace than other athletes not following any sort of plan whatsoever, but were eating just with the intention of trying to gain weight. Here's what we found. Turns out the athletes who got nutrition help gained more weight overall. They didn't gain much more muscle though, but they did gain extra fat. Turns out 4 times as much fat and only 0.9% more muscle, which is insignificant. It's not even a percent. The craziest part is that the group being coached was only eating in a 500 calorie surplus. That's just like 2 extra protein bars. So this study shows that even with professional nutrition coaching, it doesn't matter so much as to what you're eating as opposed to how much you're eating. If you're eating in too big of a surplus, you're not gonna gain any extra muscle, you're gonna put on extra fat, and you're not gonna get any stronger as opposed to eating in just a small surplus of calories. So back to what food you should be eating in order to maximize muscle, minimize fat, and keep you from going crazy trying to eat a bunch of clean, healthy food 6 times a day when it's simply not necessary. For the most part, getting in enough protein each day is going to be the most important thing to focus on, right behind the total number of calories that you take in per day. All right, let's keep this shit simple. How do you set up your diet for an optimal bulk? Get 1 gram per pound of body weight in protein. You weigh 180 pounds, you eat 180 grams of protein. The rest of your calories come from carbs and fats. It's that simple. Next logical question is, how many carbs, how much fat? Well, let's keep your fat intake to 30% of your calories or less. The rest go to your carbohydrates. Why so many carbs? Well, they help performance in the gym, and they also can have fiber, so they help your performance here in the shitter. So I know if I throw up a bunch of equations, you're gonna do one of those and one of these. So if you wanna learn how to calculate your macros, just click the link in the description to be taken to Legion's other calculator where you can once again put in your stats and simply click on the type of diet you wanna follow, which will tell you exactly how many of each macronutrient, protein, carbs, and fats, you need to hit your total calorie goals. They tend to err on the side of higher protein, which I think is a great idea for most people trying to put on muscle and stay strong and leaner. You can always come over here and click custom, which will allow you to set your protein to whatever you want and then adjust the other 2 options that change depending on whatever amounts of carbs or fats you decide to go with. So now you know how to find the total number of calories, the macronutrients that make up those calories. All that's left is figuring out what specific foods you need to eat. Come with me. My best advice here: eat foods that you like and allow you to hit your calorie and macronutrient goals that you've already set up. Does this mean eating chicken, rice, and broccoli 5 times a day with a couple protein shakes? I mean, maybe, but that sucks and it's not gonna let you stick with it for long enough to see great results. Does that mean smashing a couple double doubles or other fast food to hit your calorie goals? Probably not that either. These things have almost 700 calories in each one with 40 grams of fat, meaning you're probably gonna go way over your calorie intake needs while not hitting your protein goals and definitely far surpassing your dietary fat intake needs for the day. Fun fact, when you're eating in a surplus, the more your extra calories come from eating fats, the more likely they are to be stored as body fat. One study found that 97% of extra calories coming from fat are likely to be stored as body fat. Whereas if the extra calories come from protein or carbs, the more likely they are to be burned as fuel as opposed to being stored as body fat. And this is exactly one of the reasons why I said to keep your fats at 30% or less. Disgusting.
What I like to do is find high protein foods that I enjoy and enter them into a calorie tracking app like MyFitnessPal as I go and take note of how many calories things have.
I plan to make some videos in the future about how to structure your meals throughout the day to be the most optimal for digestion, recovery, and performance.
But until then, I'm gonna leave you with a couple wisdom nuggies to get you started. First thing is put the majority of your carbohydrates in the meals before and after your training. You can even have fast-acting carbs like Gatorade during your workout too. We need carbs for optimal training performance, which translates to carbs helping you put on more muscle. And 2, if you have no idea what foods to eat, here are a couple options. Use ChatGPT or Claude.ai and type in the number of calories and macronutrients you're trying to eat, and tell it to make you a meal plan. You can even tell it what kind of foods you enjoy eating and to have it come up with a plan that includes some variation of those. Another option would be to visit a website like eatthismuch.com and use it to get inspiration for different meals. It's pretty cool, but it can come up with some pretty disgusting shit like fish and yogurt, so not perfect. Lastly, choose foods that digest well, don't keep you bloated, and don't make you stay full for too long. Unless you choose to put those foods right before bed, in that case you're not going to be training for a while, so it doesn't really matter. Unless it disturbs your sleep, then maybe don't think about putting those foods right before bed. And that's it. If you take the time to find your maintenance calories, eat 5% more than that, ensure that 30% of your calories or less are coming from fat, make sure you're getting enough protein in, 1 gram per pound, and you're ensuring that your training is on point, you are almost guaranteed to be bulking the best way possible according to our current science. If you're still having a hard time putting on muscle, then there's probably an issue with your training, so I'll be making some videos on that in the future just to make sure that your training's on point and you guys keep making progress and moving forward. If that sounds like something you're interested in, hit subscribe and follow for more. Until next time, let's fucking grow.